Football Manager has the biggest football scouting network in the entire world, but it hasn't come out for 2 years. We've been starved of who the best Wonderkids are, but no more. We've scoured the Football Manager database and come up with the definitive ranking of the top 20 Wonderkids in the world. And there are 4 guys on this list that have the potential to be better than Messi, which is insane, I know, but I didn't make the game. But what is a Wonderkid? Well, allow me to use number 20 to explain. That would be Can Uzun, the 20-year-old Turkish attacking midfielder for Eintracht Frankfurt. He's a tremendously talented player, which obviously everybody on this list needs to be. Football Manager assigns all sorts of ratings to all 500,000 players in its database. One is the current ability number, which is a number from 1 to 200 that basically summarizes all of the various attributes that Football Manager assigns, like the fact that Can Uzun already has world-class first touch, technique, long shots, flair, but it also assigns a potential ability. For Can Uzun, this is in a range of 150 to 180. This is what their current ability could become in the game, and 180 is ridiculously good. That's the level that Rodri is at, like the Ballon d'Or winner. Well, the bottom of that range at 150 is still pretty darn good. That's the same current ability as guys like Ryan Cherky, Nick Voltamade, or Antony. Which is weird because he's the best player in the world. I don't know why he's down there. So to make this list, you just have to be better in those attributes than anybody else in the game. But also to be a Wonderkid, you gotta be under the age of 20 at the start of the database, which even though Can Uzun is 20, his birthday is in November, and the database locks in August, which makes Can Uzun the 20th best Wonderkid in the world, according to Football Manager. And for those that don't know, that tracks, by the way. He's become a regular first-team player at Eintracht Frankfurt, a pretty regular sighting in the Turkish national team, which, made the quarterfinals at the last Euros. He's a baller, and he's kind of an old-school number 10, which is fun. At number 19 in our list of the 20 best Wonderkids, Jeremy Manga, a 16-year-old left wing from Leicester City. And if you're thinking, damn, I didn't know this list was gonna have dudes that I maybe have never heard of, that's right, and he is not the only one. Manga's not only 16 years old, he's ridiculously young. He turned 16 in July of this year. He was born in July of 2009. Not only was he not born when Zidane headbutted a dude in the World Cup final, during the World Cup in South Africa, and I'm gonna need you to put your seatbelt on for this, Jeremy Manga was turning 1 year old. His current ability is already 124 on a scale of 1 to 200, and his potential ability is 150 to 180 in range. He is a tremendously explosive player, a gifted dribbler who has an incredible balance and acceleration to be able to capitalize on that. At this truly absurdly young age, he's already made 18 appearances for Leicester City and is a regular feature in the English U19 national team. And he also has versatility because he's basically either-footed, so he can kind of work on either wing no problem. There isn't a younger player on this list because Jeremy Manga barely makes the cut of being legally allowed to be on Football Manager. You have to be at least 16 years old at the time the database locks, and Manga barely made it. So Leicester City, even though you're not in the Prem, they've done it again. Number 18, a bit more of a known quantity this time, Jarell Hato. That's right, he still absolutely qualifies for this list. He doesn't turn 20 until March of 2026. And as you can see from his Football Manager rating, Jarell Hato is about as well-rounded and reliable as any player that you could possibly hope for. He can play left back and center back flawlessly. And to be honest, if you follow football in any capacity, he's somebody that you've known about for years. He has been a regular player in the Ajax team seemingly since the day he turned 17. Chelsea happened to snap him up, as they do, on a 7-year contract for nearly $40 million in transfer fees. His current ability rating is 141, but his potential ability is still locked up at 150 to 180, so they don't think he can be, an all-time generational type center back, and that is the only thing that's keeping him from being higher on this list. Number 17, less of a household name, a Senegalese winger named Asan Diao. This guy can really play anywhere on the forward line, and he has emerged as a star player at Como as they have risen up the Italian game to being a top half of the table contender in Serie A. He's one of the oldest players on the list. He turned 20 in September, so kind of right after this database locked. And he's an interesting guy with an interesting backstory. He came up in a youth career in Spain, played for the Spanish youth national teams, all despite being born in Senegal, and then switched to the Senegalese national team. He got a 12 million euro move to Como in the January window last year, and has made the most of it with 8 goals in 18 appearances. He's big, athletic, smooth as hell, and a natural finisher. That composure and finish rating for a guy that's not 20 years old in a Football Manager database is insane. Potential ability checks in at 150 to 180, and for everybody else until I say otherwise, it's still 150 to 180. But now it's time for number 16, and it's a 16-year-old, Rio Gumoha. But he's not 16 anymore. He was 16 when the database came out. Gumoha obviously stole the show, scoring a goal as an incredibly young player for Liverpool. But Football Manager does not believe that he is just a one-hit wonder. In fact, they have defined him already as a pure world-class dribbler. They've given him 18 dribbling, as well as a dribbling holy trinity of acceleration, agility, and balance that makes him a nightmare. I mean, he's one of the best dribblers in the world right now as a 16-year-old in this database. His current ability rating checks in at 127, which again, for a player of his age, ridiculous. But even though Ngumoha made his mark with that goal, he actually debuted in the FA Cup as part of last season, becoming the youngest Liverpool player to ever debut in the FA Cup just past 16 years of age. But I want to give a shout out to Chelsea because he spent 8 years in the Chelsea Academy before Liverpool got their hands on him last year. So some backroom tomfoolery there. Liverpool's getting the credit. Hell of a player though. Couldn't crack the top 15. You know who could? Number 15. Giovanni Quinda, an 18-year-old Portuguese winger who is a stud. Not to mention, he is apparently going to be one of the most entertaining players in the world. His flair rating checking in at 18 years of age, a very young 18 by the way, with an April birthday, is 18. He's very technical, also a great dribbler with 15 vision, which makes him a real standout playmaker in Football Manager's eyes. Quinda at 18 years old has already made 45 appearances for Sporting, and maybe this is the guy that was making Gyökeres look so good. Yeah, I'm just saying. Quinda was born in Guinea-Bissau, but he moved to Portugal as a child and developed at Benfica for a little bit before heading to Sporting, where, as I already mentioned, it's kind of where he is now. It is worth mentioning, and this is not the last time you will hear something like this, Giovanni Quinda is scheduled to move to Chelsea next summer for 51 million euros, which according to Football Manager, hell of a deal. His current ability rating is 137. Number 14 is Warren Zaire-Emery, which somehow this feels low. Warren Zaire-Emery is still just 19 years of age, and yet it's almost unfair to say it feels like he's plateaued a little bit. You know how good you have to be for being 13th on this list to feel like a disappointment? I mean, this guy's a Champions League winner already. He's in the French national team already, and it feels like he's been around for years. He doesn't turn 20 until March. Sorry, it took me a second. And as you can tell from his attributes in Football Manager, he's already a damn good player. Physically sound, incredibly mentally good. I mean, everything's at least a 13, which is ridiculous. And his technical ability is very present. He can receive and pass the ball. He plays good defense. He just hasn't become, a bona fide world-class player or anything. His current ability in the game is 149, but his potential ability has been dropped to 150 to 180, which means they think he's already a very good player, but they're really not quite sure how much more Warren Zaire-Emery is going to be able to add. That's the only thing holding him back on the list. And once we go to number 13, we're taking a step up in the potential ability we're seeing. And that's particularly crazy because I had never heard of this next guy until I opened the database. Number 13, Luca Williams-Barnett, a 16-year-old from the Tottenham Academy, attacking player. And if you look at his attributes, there's nothing too impressive to see for Luca Williams-Barnett. In fact, Luca Williams-Barnett at the time this database was locked had not made a senior appearance for Tottenham. That changed in September when he came on late in a League Cup match. That made him the youngest Tottenham player in a League Cup match ever. His 17th birthday hit on October 2nd, and he was probably able to honor it by being a player with 160 to 190 potential ability in Football Manager. You know what Erling Haaland's current ability is in FM right now? now, 191. Luka Williams-Barnett on the top end of Football Manager's projection is an Erling Haaland level player. The 5'9" forward has a very long way to go if he's going to reach those heights. It's just an incredibly large compliment that he is getting this level of praise from Football Manager's scouts. But at number 12 is a player that's kind of the exact opposite. Archie Gray. He's also, of course, at Tottenham, but he is a player that's 19 years old. And instead of having a potential range, Football Manager already feels comfortable enough to give him a hard-coded potential ability of 170, but he's already quite on the way to reaching that. His current ability rating is 137, and he's an incredibly well-rounded box-to-box midfielder that, well, you've probably heard of. Mainly because this dude has 74 first-team appearances for both Leeds United and now, of course, Tottenham. Hell, Tottenham signed this guy for £40 million over a year ago. He just feels like the type of guy that's going to be around in the Premier League for the next 15 to 20 years, and I guess everybody's just going to have to deal with it. His potential ability rating of 170 is the same, by the way, as the current ability of Lautaro Martinez, Alexander Isak, Julian Alvarez, and just below that of current Lionel Messi. So even though it sounds low relative to all these other ones, it's still a very high level that Archie Gray is going to reach. He just doesn't have that top-end potential, and that's why he's at 12. But now number 11, the last player unable to crack our top 10, Rodrigo Mora. Fantastic hair, and the type of player that if you know ball, you've known was on the way for a while. He is an obviously smooth and skilled player with that kind of staccato step quickness. He just separates himself. He jumps off the page. I've actually seen him play in person. I went to a Club World Cup match between Porto and Palmeiras, and Rodrigo Mora is just the type of guy you notice when he picks up the ball. It just feels a little different on his feet. As a result, Football Manager has loved him for a while. His current ability is at 131, and his potential ability range is 160 to 190. But there's a bit of a waiting for him to take that next final step to being a genuine bona fide star. He has already made 32 appearances for Porto, but there's a feeling this is really the year that if we're going to see Rodrigo Mora get close to the top end of that potential, he's going to take another step. He does have to overcome the fact that he is quite small, and Football Manager acknowledges that by giving him just 5 strength. But of course, for some other players in history, that hasn't really been a problem. But screw the top 20, it's time for the top 10. Starting with number 10, Real Madrid's Franco Mastantuono. The Argentine that has potentially been heralded as the next big thing decided to make the direct leap to Real Madrid, which can be a dangerous game. It obviously worked out for somebody like Vinicius Jr., even though he had some speed bumps early. On my life, Benzema swearing he was playing against them. It's a good example. But there are plenty of examples of bright young Wonderkids going to Real Madrid and just being extinguished by the overwhelming amount of stars there. Early in his career, Mastantuono's doing okay. He's getting some playing time with Real Madrid. He's got 9 appearances right now. But when playing in Argentina, he showed special stuff. Certainly a player that is more than capable of doing the type of thing that will drop your jaw to the floor. Also from dead balls, he's a very good free kick taker. Football Manager reflects that with 17 dribbling, 18 flair, 16 technique. He's the type of player that's rated in Football Manager as somebody that he needs to get used to playing at that high level all the time, but he can already deliver it in spurts. Current ability, 127. Potential ability, 160 to 190 for old Franco. But he wasn't quite good enough to catch up to number 9, Lenny Yoro. The tall, engineered in a lab center back with the technical, mental, and physical skill to play center back at a high level at a young age. The Frenchman that Manchester United snapped up is looking like a rare good signing by the Red Devils. And even though he just turned 20 in real life, his current ability of 142 is insanely impressive for somebody eligible for this list. They've also given him a potential ability range of 160 to 190, which at the top end of is saying Lenny Yoro could legitimately become the best center back in the entire world. He's certainly getting the experience for it because he's closing in right now on 100 career appearances as somebody on the best Wonderkids list. And the Premier League is not done putting players in the top 10 of this list, because next up at number 8, Miles Lewis Skelly. Another guy who feels like he's at least been around for a while. Miles Lewis Skelly has given a tremendous physical foothold. His acceleration, agility, his balance, his combination of strength and speed, all pretty remarkable for a guy who just turned 19. But they've not given him a lot of credit for defense. 12 tackling, 10 marking. He's a bit of a weird player attributes-wise on FM, but they've given him a lot of credit for his ability with the ball. But no matter what Football Manager thinks of him, he's an obvious choice for this list. He's been a first-team player regularly for Arsenal for about a year now. He's broken into the English national team, one of the most notoriously difficult national teams to actually break into. And as a result, Football Manager thinks he's more of a known quantity. They've given him a current ability of 145 with a potential ability hard-coded at 178. That is the same current ability in the game. In fact, it's one higher than Yeshua Kimmich. So they're making the assumption that he's going to round out the certain holes in his game. And Arsenal's not done with this list either, because number 7 in our best Wonderkids in the world list is Ethan Nwaneri. It's easy to forget how young Nwaneri is considering when he actually broke into the team, but he doesn't turn 19 until March. And Football Manager is still a full-on believer. They don't have him rated necessarily as a lights-out finisher, but an athletic, technical, creative, to force of nature type forward player. Why is he higher than Miles Lewis Skelly when he hasn't necessarily had the same level of first team success? Well, his potential ability range still exists at 160 to 190. Remember I said Erling Haaland was at that level? I lied. Erling Haaland is just 184. There's only one player in the entire database over 190. Kylian Mbappe at 191. So Football Manager has not given up on Ethan Nwaneri becoming that type of player. But we keep the Premier League rolling with our 6th best wonder kid in the world, Lucas Bergvall. He turns 20 in February. The Swedish midfielder who's been given one of the stranger sets of attributes I've ever seen in Football Manager. He has 4 technical attributes over 10. 3 of them are at least 17. First touch, technique, passing. He's got great vision, he's physically well-rounded with speed and strength, he's great on a dead ball, and generally not an idiot, with some pretty serious determination. He's also been given the best personality in the game, model citizen. So a couple things. One, huge shout out to Tottenham for having now 3 players on this list to go with Luca, Williams, Barnett, and Archie Gray. Could be an amazing midfield trio apparently at some point in the future. But also huge credit to them for the signing. They bought Lucas Bergvall for just £8.5 million, and they could sell him for at least 10 times that now. He's broken into the Swedish national team. He obviously has won a trophy with Tottenham already. Lucas Bergvall's not one of those guys where you're waiting to see. He's already made it. The question's just how good is he going to get? And his potential ability is hard-coded at 181, which is higher than Rodri. So Football Manager thinks very good. But how does somebody like that not crack the top 5? Well, that's because somebody like Pau Kubarsi exists. You see, Pau Kubarsi is still 18 years old. He turns 19 in January. And despite that, he is a bona fide world-class center back already at Barcelona. His biggest weakness is his physical ability. He's not overwhelmingly fast, strong, or good in the air. But they've compensated for that by making him just mentally an outstanding center back, and also technically a very good one as well. Unsurprising considering Barcelona Academy and all. Now, Kubarsi in real life is again somebody that's 18 years old, already has 62 appearances for Barcelona, a team that is arguably the best team in the world, or at least was last year. He also already has 8 appearances for Spain. It's quite clear that Pau Kubarsi is just on the full trajectory for greatness. His current ability in the game is a raucous, ridiculous 154 already, with a potential ability range of 160 to 190. That makes him the last player on this list that doesn't have potential to be the best player in the world. And we start that run of 4 players that have the highest possible potential range in the game with none other than Real Madrid's Endrick. Football Manager is indeed still a believer. It has not been an ideal start to Endrick's career at Real Madrid. Obviously, I discussed this earlier talking about Mastantuono. Not every wonder kid that shows up at Real Madrid is given that opportunity to shine. You have to put up or shut up there immediately. And while Endrick's kind of struggled with injuries and the ability to get himself on the field in a ridiculously star-studded team, Football Manager's scouts are banking on that ability still being there. They've made him the physical monster that he always has been, full of flair and natural goal-scoring ability. But that little lack of playmaking ability and that little lack of technical ability is still apparent in his attributes. Now, as a result of his injuries and the slow run-up to the season, he still, as of this recording, only played once this year. And there are rumors that he maybe is looking for a loan. But given the fact that Football Manager's given him a potential ability range of 170 to 200, which again is higher than Lionel Messi ever reached. 200 is the best possible current ability rating that you can have in the entire game. It is worth it for Real Madrid to take their time with the young Brazilian star, because the scouts still see something special in him, and he doesn't turn 20 until next summer. So there is still time to reach it. But who on earth are the other three players that have been given this potential ability? Well, at number 3, it's Estevao, Chelsea's own Brazilian winger. Now, Estevao's current ability is still rated lower than Endrick's, but he is rated as a better dribbler, a particularly tricky player. And at just 5'9", he kind of has to be. He's not somebody, especially with his physical build being very lean, that's going to overpower you. But he made 62 appearances for Palmeiras before being allowed to move to Chelsea. That's ridiculous when you consider the amount of competition coming in Brazil. The deal to go to Chelsea was potentially about 55 million euros if they meet every single performance-based incentive over a couple of years for Estevao. But according to Football Manager, that is already a bargain at the time that it happened, with a new transfer for Estevao likely commanding 90 to 100 million euros if it was going to happen right now, which Chelsea has no reason to do. Amongst other things, because Football Manager's given their star boy a 170 to 200 potential ability rating. We'll see how he fares in the Premier League for a season or two. He already has 1 goal for Chelsea this year. But now for number 2, a player that certainly wasn't a household name before Football Manager came out, but is likely to be a much bigger one after the games come out. The 18-year-old French midfielder from Lille, Ayoub Bouadi. That's right. A dude named Ayoub Bouadi is the second best wonder kid in the world according to Football Manager. He just turned 18 in October. He's rated as having a brilliant combination of offensive and defensive technical skills, with an understanding of the game that already allows him to play at the Ligue 1 level consistently. And I mean consistently. He has already turned out for Lille 45 times. The guy started a Champions League match against Real Madrid on his 17th birthday. Now, he's not the sexiest player. He does not have a senior professional goal in the league. He also has not broken into the French national team. Granted, that is a very hard thing to do, but Football Manager sees this kid who's been turning out regularly for years at Lille, even though he just turned 18, and they see a potential Ballon d'Or winning level player. I mean, hey, Rodri just won it. Don't knock those holding midfielders now. His current ability as a very young 18-year-old comes in at 130. And of course, the potential ability range is 170 to 200. But obviously, not Endrick, not Estevao, or Ayoub Bouadi is able to get near number 1 on this list. It's Lamine Yamal, obviously. I mean, the guy's not one of the best wonder kids in the world. He's legitimately one of the best players in the world. His current ability is given at 165. He's 18. Somehow it feels like his potential ability should be in another category from those other 3 guys, but it's limited to 170 to 200. He is a technical god, one of the most creative players in the entire game, and has truly world-class agility and acceleration. But do you really need me to sit here and tell you how good Lamine Yamal is? The guy's 18 years old. He has 81 appearances for Barcelona. He's got a La Liga title. He has a Euros. He's 23 caps for Spain. He's 18. Yeah, duh. But there are a lot of crazy wonder kids on this list. Let me know who you think Football Manager got right, and maybe who Football Manager got wrong. And be on the lookout for the video where the best hidden wonder kids. I'll give you a hint. A couple guys from the stands making some noise. I'll see you on stream on Twitch and Zealand Live. Links are in the description. Why did I wink?